that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome. We now rock with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Here's Pete Carmichael.
I think this, as a staff, something that we had talked about was he was in the backfield, but given the weather conditions and everything, we wanted to see, throw some different personnel groupings out there, a few that included him as well, and really kind of see what we were getting from them defensively based on, not only what their taste and plan was, but also because of the weather conditions. And so, we threw some different things out there and then once we felt like we had a good beat, obviously got to Doug and Zach and, their thoughts of, hey, start firing out the taste and run plays.
So it was really just
Listen, you'd love to have him back there and getting a ton of carries. You love having Alvin getting back there, but I think probably a little bit later than maybe we wanted to based on the way the game was going. But again, we wanted to, he lined up there and then kind of shifted a couple times, and we wanted to just see what their adjustments were going to be early.
How often do you guys, do that? Just kind of like
Well, I think we obviously took the weather into consideration with that as well. How they were going to, what were they going to defend with the run and all that. So I think that when you look at the opening, the openers as we put them together, we'll throw multiple groups out there often just to kind of see what kind of adjustments we're getting from the defense.
Alvin's wide receiver snaps are like way down this year percentage-wise, based on other years to this year. Why is that? Why doesn't he line up there as much as he used to?
Well, I think this, as part of that is we've had opportunities to maybe, throw the ball to him out of the backfield, and maybe a certain coverage didn't get him the ball to go there. Again, we haven't had a ton of super amount of plays throughout the course of the season. Really, the last several games, we end up with 60 snaps. But he's a big part of it. It's not part of the play. I mean, we have plays in that are designed for that every week. It's just whether I just haven't called him, or we haven't gotten to him, or maybe the look hasn't let the ball go in his direction. So there's probably several reasons.
What about like snaps where he's actually just lined up at receiver though? I mean that also seems to be a smaller part of the offense this year. Or
Yeah.
Slot or...
Yeah, I think that could just us start with me doing a better job of getting him out there then.
It's late in the game, Pete. That's one of the biggest things. I mean, I hear the little saying KYP, know your personnel. That's something that Antonio Daniels always likes to say. It's a very old saying, to be honest with you, in basketball, sports circles, period. Very curious play calling by Pete Carmichael this year. I mean, the Saints could have won at least 4 more games, I could say, if his play calling was a lot better, meaning getting his best players in position to win when he would get them involved early in the game or at a certain juncture of time, and then simply just go away from them. Totally just go away from them and do totally something different, as opposed to ride the hot hand of his players. It's very puzzling how he called plays this year, and very puzzling. Very stupid, too, most of the times, which just lends itself to him saying doing a better job. I mean, it's really, he kind of stuttered over his words and his explanations of what he was trying to get them to what he was trying to convey. But what I basically know him from watching Pete Carmichael and Coach Payton work for years to see, it's just discipline. It's what we call play discipline. You have to have the ability to stay disciplined to a game plan and not get caught up into, quote, the flow of the game, end quote, which is what Dennis Allen said before. And Carmichael said that in previous interviews too, that the Saints habitually would get caught up into the flow of the game. And I would question, one of the reporters asked him at one time, what does that mean? What does the flow of the game mean? And they explained it. And I'm like, no, the flow of the game is not some mystical tooth fairy type creature that just comes as a mist from out of the field and then galvanizes into a form and starts picking which team it wants to win. It doesn't work like that. The flow of the game is controlled by the team that has the will to dominate the field. You can be in Cleveland, you can be in Atlanta, you can be in wherever you're going to be. You can be on somebody else's field, but it's a neutral field, meaning that until that team takes dominance of ownership of that field, meaning they come out there and dominate mentality wise over the other team, then you can't really claim that. So the Saints, usually good teams, take control the flow of the game. They take possession of the game. They take possession of the game. They can't take possession of the clock. They take possession and control the flow and the rhythm of the game. And there's several ways you do it. Like we talk about all the time, it's not something that you're supposed to get pushed away by unless you're being controlled by the opposition. It's not a neutral force. It's either A or B team. And this is the type of stuff that with 2 games remaining in the season, you expect somebody like Carmichael and them to understand. But what I attribute it to, I don't think Pete Carmichael's stupid. I wouldn't say that. What I would say is that he's not as disciplined as we anticipated him, especially in his play calling, to see guys working and that he would simply go away from him. Let's listen to him a little bit more, family, then we'll move on.
Pete, what do you think Andy's been doing well just in terms of taking care of the ball? I think last week was his first pick in 4 games.
Yeah, I think that he's been very efficient moving the chains and making the good decisions, getting the ball to where it needs to go, getting us in the right looks, making adjustments at the line of scrimmage when he's needed to. And unfortunately for him, as we go back at the end of the season, we probably look at some of his turnovers. A lot of them we're going to say, that ball should have been caught, wasn't on him. Maybe the receiver did the wrong route or something. But as overall, I think he's playing really well.
He's probably got like 2 or 3 tip drill plays.
Yeah, he's had just some unfortunate luck with those, and it seems every time when we look at him, it's like, it was a great decision, great throw. We got to make that play.
Over the last couple of games, just to give it to what the Saints were able to do. I mean, from just a few games during this season, really, you look at the Raiders contest where the Saints actually dominated that game. They showed some bit of killer instinct. They haven't exhibited that. Over the last 2 game winning streaks, they formed something that they didn't have the previous several mini contests. But over the last 2 games, things have fallen in their favor, meaning they've done just enough to win, you see. And they didn't play worse than the other team. The Browns were awful. I'm going to be honest with you. They dropped 2 touchdown passes that I remember. Deshaun Watson was all over the field with the ball. And the Saints did a wonderful job of maintaining or holding down, not stopping, but holding down Nick Chubb. And boy, I tell you, they didn't hurt themselves as much as Cleveland did, but they were able to put 2 games together. Do I think they'll get to the playoffs? I do not. I do not. I don't think they'll do it because really I don't have that much faith in Dennis Allen as a head coach. I think he misses on a lot of the things. And if you want really know my spill on Dennis Allen, just feel free to go back into the show archives and just listen to all of the damn shows that we did this year about Dennis Allen and what he doesn't have as a head coach. And during these wins, I think the team, a certain air of desperation has flowed over the team. And I wish this would have happened early on when they were selling us this bull job about sticking with the, all this nonsense, and all this. Now we not pushing the panic button and you 3 games under 500, but you're not going to push the panic. All this madness. They were just like somebody put them in like a medical induced coma or something, or they were just high on some wacky weeds and they were just cruising through the Caribbean with no problem at all. So, I mean, it was really weird how only Alvin Kamara stuck up and kind of cursed at him one time, but nobody did any team-only meetings to get this stuff straight. Now the Saints have to win out against the best team in the NFC record-wise in the Eagles. And then the Carolina Panthers, let me tell you something, is playing really well. They're running the ball. This team don't even have a quarterback, and they're over there running the ball and playing defense. So it's not going to be a cakewalk for the Saints in any sense of the imagination. You need help to get there, and the Saints flittered away all of its losing. And according to people like Mickey Loomis, who and we talked about this, family. We talked about this here, and reporters, and this came from Jeff Duncan. We covered it on our TSC Q&A live stream. If you want to check that out on Patreon, but I won't get too far into it. But I brought up a lot of questions like why are the Saints holding Dennis Allen's contract? Why won't they release the particulars on his deal? Why won't they tell you how much money he's making? Why won't they tell you how many years his contract is instead of people throwing out hyperbole? They don't know exactly what his contract is because the Saints never released his contract. They never told you how many years you have Dennis Allen for, or how much they paying him. Why are you holding those particulars back? Why isn't that not public knowledge? And why is it more of an outcry from people to figure out what that is, being that you want to get him out of here? What would it cost to get him out of here? Sooner or later, we're going to get that information, probably when the season is over with. And the contract will be released. But this is very weird. I'm going to be honest with you. And all my years been doing this, I've never known a professional team, especially in NFL, to hold the particulars of the contract back. Either they'll tell you the years or they'll tell you the money, but they don't tell you nothing about this guy's contract. I find that really strange. And I find it kind of strange, too, that a lot of these reporters ain't writing on why the Saints are holding that money up, why they won't tell you what the dude contract is. How many years is it? What if you got Dennis Allen for 5 years or 6 years? What if they paying Dennis Allen between $5 to $7 million to be the coach? And this is the thing. We don't know. And that's really weird that we don't know what his contract is. I'm going to just keep it honest with you. That's very strange. Anyway, the Saints' Dennis Allen reportedly safe despite Sean Payton rumors. This is from Vincent Frank, and it kind of parallels the article we covered on TSC Q&A Live about what Duncan said about the team, and which was it really a surprise, to say the least, about them saying that. Remember, if it is, then if you're thinking that's a surprise, family, it's not really a surprise, because we kept saying the real reason why they won't get rid of Dennis Allen is because they don't want to break his contract, whatever that is. Whatever that contract is that we don't know that they're holding from us, they don't want to break it in this first year. And remember, I told you that. I told you before the NFL put that memo out about not firing your executives or your head coaches because they have a $800-something million tab they have to pay people that's not on their staffs anymore. And this is a combination of all of the NFL teams accumulate $800+ million in bad contracts, meaning guys that's not a part of the team, guys that were fired because of their own incompetence. Their own incompetence mean the team. The team didn't do the right research, and they're hiring the wrong people that don't fit the scheme, or either they're not looking into their background. They're not finding out what kind of people these people are. Do they have the motivational ability, the communication ability, the X's and O's? It's a number of things it takes to be a head coach in the NFL, a successful one at that. And a lot of times you hit and you miss. A lot of times these teams don't do their research. They are desperate and they end up hiring these people. Well, anyway, that memo came out, and that came out after, I did the shows when I was telling family members, I say, listen, they're not going to fire this guy because they don't want to break his contract and pay him off. That's number one. And they'll have that extra money to pay for him, whatever the length of his contract is. We don't know. And then spend extra money to hire a new coach to kind of get his F-ups in place, to fix his F-ups and his screw-ups, you see? And on top of that, the Saints, this is really peculiar because the Saints have a window they have to win. See, the Saints are already set up to reset in 2 to 3 years. The window started
this year, and then you have the next 2 years after that before the window resets. And what you mean by window? The window of the current contracts are some of your playmakers on the team that get into that window. And after that window, you have new people that you're going to bring underneath the current crop of people that you have. And then eventually those guys will move out. Who are those guys? The DeMario Davises, the Cam Jordans, the Mike Thomases, and eventually Alvin Kamara. These guys over the next 2 to 3 plus years will end up fading out into the sunset, and you will have to bring in new guys underneath these guys to win. Well, the Saints have a healthy mix of talent. They're very talented. They have the wide receivers. They have a lot of positive stuff going on. The issue at the top. And usually when you talk about teams underachieving, you don't go no other place than start at the top of the team with the head coach. You look at the head coach first, because the head coach is over the whole team. If the team is not living up to standards, you look at the head coach. Don't listen to nobody tell you look everywhere else. You start with the head coach and you work yourself down. And we'll get to Mickey Loomis and all that at first, because it do leak back to Mickey Loomis because he was the one that hired him. It makes him look bad. So at the end of the day, the coach gets the blame that the team is underachieving. And it's kind of weird how this all played out. And like I said before, keep in your mind that the fact that the Saints are holding the particulars on Dennis Allen's contract. Everybody's saying this, that, third. I think it is. I'm thinking this. They don't know what it is because they haven't told you what it is. They don't know what the money is. And then they do averages. Well, he can't be making more than this other guy. You don't know what the Saints is playing this dude. And what's the reason for, financially speaking, that they're holding on to this man. Like I said, it wasn't about loyalty. It never was about loyalty. It's all about money. And they would rather, inconvenience your ass in watching football than to do the right thing and spend a little money, because they make it. This woman, Gail, is worth over $5 billion that they reported. The Saints don't pay that much taxes. They got all kind of business interests and tax breaks and concession breaks and all this other stuff to make them viable. So at the end of the day, this is no reason to say we're not going to get rid of him because we don't want to break his contract. That's foolhardy. Shout out to you, KB, baby, for being a member for 20 months. The coach ain't coaching. We the people want a refund. Amen, sister. All right, so let's get into this article, family. I'm not going to hold you that long. Well, I'm going to try not to hold you that long today. Let's get on through this stuff here. And, of course, this article talks a lot about some of the previous articles. It makes mention of guys like Mike Florio, who citing sources that he refused to name, concluding that the worst kept secret in football is Payton coming back to New Orleans next season. If that is indeed the case, where would that leave Dennis Allen? Now, Dennis Allen and the Saints are on the verge of being eliminated from the playoff, according to this writer. He ain't giving you a chance to win the Philadelphia game. It's going to be tough. But for Allen and co, this could be the culmination to what has been a disastrous campaign in New Orleans in the first season since Coach Payton's resignation. He also has led to speculation that Payton could come out of retirement and return to the Saints in 2023. He's still under contract. Let's remember that. Let's remember the particulars, because I know it's a lot that's going on, because this is a very convoluted and very strange situation. The Saints still have Coach Payton under contract. So they own his rights. He can't go anywhere. He can go talk about the game, but he can't go coach the game. The Saints still own his rights. So he's still under contract. If he decides to come back here, it's crazy and wacky and strange as it is, being that the man left you and went and said, listen, I'm going to take a break off. I'm up out of here. But as time went on, you found out what the real reason why he left up out of here. Well, I just needed to change the scenery. No, really, what he was looking for, and this was stuff that was put out by his team and him in sources that are credible, that's connected to him, that he's looking for a team with a stable quarterback position. Don't that tell you everything you need to know about the New Orleans Saints quarterback situation, who Sean Payton himself created? How are you looking to other teams with stable quarterback situations when you unstabilize the QB situation in New Orleans? Now you can't live up to it. Once you did what you did and struck lightning with Drew Brees, and you couldn't remanufacture that, he said, you know what, Drew Brees really did do some great stuff. I might have to, But at the end of the day, he had wax at it. He just bombed out. Outside the quarterback position tied to Drew Brees, nothing else was shake. He had Teddy Bridgewater here. Teddy won many games for him, but he stabbed Teddy Bridgewater in the back and told him that he's going to be the starter. And then when the time came, he gave it to somebody else. So Teddy didn't trust him after that and ended up leaving to Carolina. Then he tried to get Teddy back before. Teddy said, no, I'm gone.
So he did have opportunities, and we gave up picks for veteran quarterbacks. It never panned out because of his own treachery. That's what Dennis Allen learned his backstabbing crap from that Keenan Lewis talked about or Jameis Winston made mention of. So at the end of the day, man, it's simply ridiculous. But anyway, let's finish up because I just want to bring contrast to that because sometimes people just gloss over this shit. And I like to give people the history behind it so it gives more depth. The words and things mean more weight when you add that around it, as opposed to you just hearing what the media is saying. They just spitting this stuff out. And we as people, we're receiving this stuff and we have to, digest it and understand what's going on here. Payton is still a member of the Saints organization. That's number one. Dennis Allen is not a head coach. He's a failure. He's not good at it. Now he's won more games as a head coach in a single season than he ever did before. He won 6 games. He's very proud of that. Previously, the one stop in Oakland, his first year he won 4. The second year he won 4. Then he went 0-4, got fired in the third year, and he won 6 games with the Saints. So he living the dream. He feeling real good about himself, cussing in the press conference, little cocky here, cocky there. Mickey Loomis running up to him. Yeah, well, you come here, Dennis. Let me give you a hug. You're running up to him. But at the end of the day, that made no sense. You hugging this dude. This dude only got 6 wins, Mick. What you talking about? That's not a slick move, Mickey. You hugging on this man, and then they telling him that he's safe. Really? He's safe, and you got 2 games left to play. Shouldn't you hold that out before you decide where he, to say whether or not you're gonna keep him? There's still games to be played, Mickey. But that doesn't matter. See, the game plan was to keep him all along because they don't want to spend the money to get rid of him to hire somebody new and do it the right way. So they will inconvenience you and put you in front of subpar football for the next year or so before they say, you know what, let's pull the plug. We made enough money. But I'm telling you no. And we got reporters out here, one reporter in particular, who telling you that you don't have no power and that you can't do nothing about it. We covered that on TSC Q&A Live. You got a report out here telling people that whatever the Saints do, the fans, as he called it, can't do nothing about it. Oh, yeah? So you basically powerless to what the Saints do, even though you the one giving them all the money. You for real? See, and that's what I'm saying about having common sense and understanding. That's a goddamn lie. And only somebody that's weak and flimsy that don't know their own power would tell other people that they don't have no power. That's bullshit. You contribute money and energy into the team. You can direct the team if you own code. You can pull back money because we did this in the past where we put bags on our heads and called them the Aints and did all this stuff. Nobody else called them the Aints. That was the diehards calling the Saints the Aints. We gave them that name. I was telling people in TSC Q&A Live that. Show pictures and everything. So you have power. Everything you do and every move you make in the world, you have power. And for people to tell you not, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Buck against them. And all it is discipline. If they want to keep this guy, then what you do is you know what you got to do. Don't take your ass down there to them goddamn games. Don't go down there to them tailgating. Don't buy no jerseys. I don't care how cheap they are. You know what you got to do because we did this in the past. It's all reciprocal. It all happens in circles. And we at that juncture of time where we were in the past when we had to buck them to make them get right, to make them understand that you won't be just doing stuff and expect us to go along with what you're doing, even though we know what you're doing is wrong. And you know it's wrong, but you're going to do it because you don't want to lose no more money than what you're doing. So we know what we need to do here. We know what we do. I'm talking to the diehards, the ones with sense. I'm not talking to the fans that don't have no brains, man, that just take anybody. You the problem. You the problem. We don't need nobody like that running around here that's stupid, that understand that these people playing with your intelligence and they playing with your discipline level. They calling you a fanatic. They saying that you don't have no power and that you're supposed to take whatever these people throw at you. And I say no. I say no to that. I say implement your power and show them what time it is. Show them who really got the power. That's what I say to you. I never call you powerless. You're only powerless when you exit out of the game plan or the mindset to implement power. People who don't want power, they are weak because people who have power will use the power on your ass. You better get it right. Anyway, let me get back here, man, before I start going on a spiel and get pissed off. Fleoria, the flea, was dropping this, talking about this is the worst kept secret about Sean Payton coming back to New Orleans. Sean Payton's still a member of the Saints, number one. And the Tom Brady speak, let me address the Tom Brady speak that Fleoria talks about Sean Payton. And this was supposed to happen the year Drew Brees didn't retire. When Brady left the Patriots, Brady was supposed to come to New Orleans, and they were waiting on Drew Brees to make a decision. The Saints should have pulled the plug on Drew Brees then. I said it then. And the Saints, they slow and they old at the top. These people are old. They got dinosaur brains up there. They don't want to adjust fast. They got a brother up there, Kyle Harley. You need to make him the general manager because they don't know when to pull the plug on some of these players. This guy made it up to his late 30s, man. You know, he barely could throw the ball down the field. He couldn't get out of harm's way. And they were doing real strange stuff. We calling this all out. But when Drew came back, he came back for basically the same contract that Tom Brady got from the Bucs. That's why Tom Brady was pissed off. Last year, Tom Brady made mention of it. And this year, he was upset that the Saints would dare, take Drew Brees over him. He was upset. That's why he said about to take all of Drew Brees' records down and even come to New Orleans and win a Super Bowl in Drew Brees' background, in his backyard. That guy's real petty. A man so petty that he would lose his entire family just to play football. How selfish is that? That speaks to a master. That guy got a master's degree in pettiness. You want to talk about petty? First ballot Hall of Fame QB, all the money in the world. Wife got all the money in the world. This dude went against his family and his wife to play football out there. That is absolutely amazing to me. Because I would never do that. If I'm set up, I got all the trophies and the records in the world. What we doing here? Super petty. But a guy like that, with that degree of petty, that's what he'll do. And besides, this is a short-term option. If it does unfold, it's still a short-term option because you got Payton with what he doing. If they bring Brady here, what you going to do it for a year? Then what? None of this is long-term fix. But are we interested in long-term fixes? Are we? Well, anyway, according to Insider Underhill, it would be a surprise if Allen didn't return to the Saints sideline in 2023. Jeff Duncan of Fox 8 New Orleans agreed, reporting that Dennis Allen is, quote, safe, end quote. And remember, they made mention in the same article that the reason why the Saints are saying Dennis Allen is safe because it's a money issue. They don't want to spend the money to get rid of him. I told you that before these people was even talk. How do I know? Because I know the game, man. I know business, and I know how business people think. They will inconvenience you with this bullshit coach out here just so they can keep money in their pocket and keep making money off of you. So you know how you could tell them all day. Mickey Loomis know how the Who-Dats feel about Dennis Allen. They got good reason to feel that way. The entire Who-Dat nation, when they go to those games, they boo Dennis Allen when they announce him. They hear all of that. People, when them guys on the street, whether it's Gale and the rest of them, they hear the dissatisfaction from the Who-Dats about Dennis Allen as a coach. There is no environment that any coach that's a New Orleans Saints coach should come in here and win only and be 6-9 with a team this talented and still be safe in the second year. Are you kidding me? So we lose. So we going backwards in wins and the guy's still safe. He only safe because they don't want to spend the money. See, this cheap shit. Several components to these rival reports. First, Flora's suggestion is that the aforementioned Brady will head to New Orleans to team up with Payton. This is old stuff because this was supposed to happen originally. It was supposed to be here at first when Drew spoiled it because he came back, and then it was supposed to be something that was happening with the Miami Dolphins where Payton was supposed to be the Dolphins head coach and Brady was supposed to join him out there. See, they keep floating the same thing because where there's smoke, there's fire. This is also the same Dolphin incident that Brian Flores called out on Ross, who was talking about that never happened. That lying old bastard. So at the end of the day, Flores was calling all this out, and we covered that. And at the time, I was saying, I bet you that quarterback that he wanted you to collude with, because he's saying, I ain't colluding, that Ross was trying to get him to meet on that yacht was Brady, and it turned out it was Brady. So see how all these things sync together? Old signal call is slated to become a free agent in 2022. There is no guarantee that he's going to be back in Tampa Bay. With that said, a lot would have to work out in order for this to come to fruition. No, it wouldn't. Tom Brady will be a free agent next year. You get from up under Tampa Bay. And Sean Payton is still under contract with the Saints, which you mean a lot has to happen. Sean Payton wouldn't have left the Saints if they had a quarterback there that he would like. If they had Aaron Rodgers or even not Denver version of Russell Wilson, because I don't think they're using him right, but Seattle's version of Russell Wilson and any competent quarterback, no disrespect to Jameis, but I don't think this team had fully invested in Jameis to that point where they truly believe that he is who they is. When they went after Deshaun Watson, that really showed how they felt about him. Then they settled on Jameis. If they really wanted Jameis in there, he's healthy enough to play. They would have put him in there, but they look for reasons to keep him out of the game. And now he's in DA's doghouse because he came out with the report to the reporters about him saying that he lost his job due to injury when he was healthy enough to play. He said, when you're good enough to go, you can come back. Even though Dennis Allen said that Jameis is healthy. All that's on tape we play. So at the end of the day, it's really crazy and convoluted how this stuff is working because the Saints don't have no plans. See, this is the work and actions of people that don't have plans, bro. Naturally, the possibility of Payton returning to the Saints has resurfaced with widespread suggestions that the Super Bowl winning coach is looking to turn his Fox Sports analyst duties for a headset over just one season. That's no news because he told you that. When Sean Payton left, he told you that. He's been true to form and not lying about none of that. Coach Payton said he was going to step away for 1 year and be a commentator on television. He said that. And then after 1 year there, he still has the itch to coach. He would come back to the sidelines. He said that, and he's doing what he said he's going to do. So that's not a surprise. The fact that Payton remains under contract in New Orleans complicates matters. Any team looking to bring Payton in would have to send draft compensation to the Saints in a trade, which if you hear people talking about the Denver Bronco trade, that's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense because the Saints, hopefully they won't be stupid enough to try to trade with the Broncos. And I'm going to show you their draft picks for this year. Why you would not want it, because they don't have the draft capital necessary for us to, to really want to send him out there. So that's not going to matter. A smart team wouldn't send Payton to Denver if that was a thing. You see what I'm saying? They don't have the picks that we want. The New Orleans Saints find themselves for 6-9 on the season. It has lost 4 of the 9 games by 1 score, despite a current 2-game winning streak to remain alive in the pedestrian NFC South. Things are not looking up for this team. 2-game winning streak. It is what it is. Assuming the Saints are eliminated from playoff contention, they're facing an uncertain offseason that brings Mickey Loomis, yeah, that's me, having to navigate a salary cap situation. Man, cut it out, man. Mickey Loomis has mastered the salary cap situation. They always bring the same stinking talking point up every year about the Saints have to navigate. What is it now? A little less than 60 million. Remember, we was at 100 million. What are these new writers? The Saints maneuver the salary cap better than anybody. They know how to do it. So what's $58 million to the Saints? Oh, no, Cuban, once again, we in the cap hell. We are not in cap hell. We was $100 million 2 years ago. Then the next year was like, what, 80 million? And it's dropping. I'm saying, damn, we doing good because it ain't 100 million, ain't 80 million. It's not, what, 57.84? Less than 58 mil? The Saints can maneuver that, man. That's what they do. They just kick the can down the road. That's what the hell the Saints do. This doesn't even take into account the fact that New Orleans is in quarterback purgatory with Andy, Dalton, and Jameis Winston as the top players at this position on the roster. No Taysom Hill doesn't count. First and foremost, let me say this. Andy Dalton, I'm not mad at Andy Dalton because Dalton's simply doing what they ask him to do. Really, it's supposed to be Jameis Winston, and that you're paying over $20 million. Let the money speak. Let the money speak. It used to mean something when you paying a player big money, and the player's not playing. Now, Jameis, according to what they've said, is he's healthy enough to play. The reason he's not playing is because of Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is in him or whatever. So Jameis really felt like when he had to blow the whistle and put some pressure on him to play, to go and talk to the reporters. My question was, did he go and talk to me? Jameis, come on in. Jameis, can I help you? Did he talk to that guy? Because before you go and talk to the press outside of the team, go talk to your general manager. And if he did do that, did Mickey say, I'm just going to talk to Dennis? Is that what happened? So if that's the case, that would be on Mickey Loomis. Because if your quarterback, your $20+ million quarterback is coming to you with a problem with the head coach, you supposed to hiring that out before it got to the street, Mickey. So what was Mickey doing that day? Was he taking blood pressure medication? Was he sleeping at the switch? What was he doing? So, I mean, Jameis felt he did what he felt he had to do. But that's really on the GM. The GM, if there's a breach or something, a split some kind of way between the quarterback and the head coach, that general manager got to be on that shit, y'all. The GM got to be on that. The GM's got to be on that. He looked like he was asleep at the switch. So if you paying a guy 20, let's talk about the money. You're paying Jameis Winston over $20 million over the next 2 years. Why isn't Jameis Winston playing? Obvious, Dennis Allen said he's healthier to go, so why do we keep saying Andy Dalton? No disrespect to Andy Dalton. He only doing what he can do out there. But the money is going to Jameis. So I got to justify the money. So I ain't going to say it's quarterback purgatory. What's happening at the QB position is self-imposed. It's self-imposed. And even when the guy was throwing 3 interceptions, he still didn't make a QB change. What did he say in that famous press conference? I told him to keep doing what he's doing. Huh? Yeah, he threw 3 interceptions in the first half. I told him, see if he can top it. This is self-inflicted. This is not something that's just happening to us because no. These are bad calls by the supposed head coach of the Saints, man. You don't alienate the $20 million quarterback. I mean, seriously. He's the best quarterback on your roster. Like it or lump it. You got to play him if he's healthy to go. But Dennis Allen says no because he didn't like Jameis talking to the press. And I told y'all, even though Dennis Allen, Dalton can stink it up, you won't see Jameis unless Dalton gets hurt. And then the thing about Taysom Hill don't count. Taysom Hill, and that's really a play call situation to a degree because Taysom Hill has been throwing the ball a little bit better. But at times with Taysom's in the game, instead of Taysom going through his progressions, he'll get antsy feet and turn into a running back as opposed to take a shot down the field. So you can see a mixture of that. He says, dating back to his days in Oakland as a head coach, Allen has not proved to be a successful head coach in the NFL. He has not. And another year will not help you out in there. And this is his coaching record as it stands. 14-37 with a .275 winning percentage. 14-37. That's his coaching record from Oakland to right now. Whether it's Payton or another candidate, wouldn't be surprised if Saints brass at least looked outside option to replace Allen. Simply put, his lack of success speaks for itself. It's just lack of success because he lacks the things necessarily need to be a successful coach. He's not a good communicator. He's not a good motivator. He's not a meticulous man that pays attention to detail. He's not accountable. Not go on and on. That's why the team is underachieving. 6-9. I'm not happy about 6 wins. We win deprived here. I'm not happy about that. But it starts to smoke. So here's more of it about Sean Payton, Tom Brady link. Man, we talked about that. The Sean Brady and Tom Brady thing. Sean Payton would not have been. Sean Payton would have not. He wouldn't have went anywhere if you had a stable quarterback type situation that occurred. He screwed that up. Now you looking to Herbert and San Diego look like they're not going nowhere. You're looking at Arizona as a team, which if we wanted to trade them, Arizona is a good spot because they think currently right now they got the 8th overall pick. They have the actual picks now that you can get that'll be top 10 picks for you in the upcoming draft to help you restock from the picks that we traded to get Chris Olave and all this other kind of stuff. But we don't seem to have the vision for that. If the Saints indeed do keep Sean Payton, then what goes from there? It's a lot of things that unfurl. And I'm not really totally sold on this stuff. This stuff is so crazy. You're just going to have to wait and see how it unfurls, to be honest with you. It's so crazy. But Peyton and Brady, that's been a link for a while now. It's been a link. And if Tom Brady says he wants to come to New Orleans, he's petty enough. He'll come to here and then Sean Payton will be his coach. But boy, when Brady leaves, Sean Payton going to follow him out the door. He ain't no fool. He struck lightning with Drew Brees on that quarterback, and he had not been able to reproduce that. And he looking for other stable QB situations. That's what he's looking for. He's looking to go somewhere else outside of this talk between him and Brady and Sean and the Saints. But his thing is he's putting out there, he's looking for a place with a stable QB situation. I said, how about that shit? This guy here talking about looking somewhere where somebody else did the work for him for the quarterback situation. He just slide his ass up under the team. And while we over here have to figure out the QB. Come on with it. Oh my goodness, man. Lord. What are we doing, Saints Nation? Who that nation? What the hell is going on in this black and gold city, man? Can't we get past the past to the future? Can't we get past the past to get to the future? Come on now. All right, let's do this one here. All right, Eagles QB Jalen Hurts returns to practice first time since injuring his shoulder. And this is a bit of information for some of the family members that might have missed the preview stream. I invite you to go and check out the preview, Saints and Eagles preview stream we did yesterday, Bird Game 31. Shout out to that brother. He gave us a lot of good game about this Philadelphia team, a lot of good inside baseball on them. And as he was saying that he believed Jalen Hurts was going to play in this matchup, that was the big talking point. But guess what? Hurts returned to the practice for the first time since injuring that shoulder. So Jalen Hurts is like he was pushing for. He could be, it looked like he's going to be lining up against the Saints. It looked different with Gardner Minshew in there, but the Eagles are not taking any chances. They want to get this win so they can lock everything up. So it's several things went over it. We talked about the fact that they can lock up the NFC with the first round bye in the playoffs. They'll have the first seed. They'll be able to also, win the NFC East, get the NFC first round bye in the playoffs, and then even bat the Saints down even lower to get a higher position with the draft, with the picks that they have for us. So they're triply motivated to beat the Saints. The issue is in the NFL, a lot of things could happen. So I'm not say they're going to run them off the field, but the Eagles hit you everywhere where it hurts. They got a quarterback that can improvise. That's a problem with the Saints. We have difficulties with that. They can run the football, and Miles Sanders say he's going to be playing in the game, who banged up with a knee. They're 1,000-yard back, so he'll be back in the game. So the Saints have a very tall order against the Philadelphia Eagles. If the Saints really played oh my goodness, I can't even say it because it's so inconsistent, so terrible and so inconsistent. So Jalen Hurts, man, is going to be a guy. He was at practice, which is a good sign for the Eagles. And we just got to be ready the best way we can. Let's look at today's injury report, fam. Thursday injury report, week 17. Speaking of injuries, week 17, you got 10 players on the list. Caden Ellis, fully practiced. He had a hand issue, but he's good to go. Good to see that. Justin Evans, the former Buccaneer safety, had shoulder issues. He was limited. Elvin did not practice for the second straight week. They got quadricep NIR, which is not injury-related, personal. Both of those. Marshawn Lattimore, once again, Laddie Daddy, was practice. He was limited. Marcus May was shut down, shoulder problems, DNP'd. Chris Olave, hamstring, was limited. Good to see him out there. Andrews Pete shut down with that ankle for 2 straight days. Ryan Ramczyk was limited with an illness there after having rest. He was shut down on Wednesday. And, of course, you see Dwayne Washington with an illness, also shut down Wednesday and Thursday. Our special teammates, Pete Werner, linebacker with hamstring issues, was limited as well, but did play, or practice rather. All right, and you look at the Eagles. We talked about Jalen Hurts, was limited. He finally got back to it. Lane Johnson is on the IR. You won't see him. Avonte Maddox did not practice with a toe issue. Miles Sanders was limited. He got that knee, but he was out there. Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders are a big part of that Eagles offense, to be honest with you, man. And like Bird Game said, man, it all flowed through Jalen Hurts, man. So if you can stop him, boy, or at least slow him down, you might be doing something. Big Jordan Davis, the massive former Georgia interior defensive lineman with the Eagle, had a concussion. He fully practiced, so he'll be good to go. Linval Joseph, that big interior defensive tackle they picked up, he did not practice with illness. And then, of course, their older players like Fletcher Cox, who's been there for years, he was limited with rest. So was Landon Dickerson, the guard. Defensive end Brandon Graham was limited as well. Center Jason Kelsey was limited. And then their big guard, Sumalo, was also limited. So the Eagles, injury list don't look as bad as ours, but it's very positive because Chris Olave is positive to see him be in the mix as well. Marcus May, we'll see, and several other players. But anyway, that's the injury report for Thursday. All right. So moving on, family. Let's move into this thing right here. And also with the issue, with the story about Sean Payton, y'all seen the post that Mike Thomas put up about it. and I guess he kind of approved of it or whatnot. But, that's the only way Peyton does come back to the Saints if Tom Brady with him, man. And then he going to leave again when Tom leaves. It's crazy, man. We can't get to the future because we stuck in the past. All right, anyway, speaking of stuck in the past, let me play for y'all this interview what Sean Payton would say if he was coaching Russell Wilson. And let me just say this. Sean Payton has won a lot of games for the Saints. He gave us our only Super Bowl. But for many years, a lot of the Who-Dats would be like, speaking to Sean Payton and say, dude, great. And I'm not saying the man not great, but listen, we know that it's a different level when you have coaches that win multiple Super Bowls. Not saying that the atmosphere wasn't conducive for the Saints to have multiple Super Bowls, but I often said as long as Peyton was in the black and gold dome, he should have had at least 3 Super Bowl rings, at least 3 of them. You say, well, Q, what about the game where we would have went to the Super Bowl if the Rams, the official, would have called the pass interference play when the guy ran over, what's his name? Oh man, I can't remember the man name. Y'all remind me in the press. I used to call, what was his name? Y'all remember me when he ran over the man. I got his face in my mind. I just can't call out his name right now, but y'all put it in the chat. Remind me. But when he ran over Tommy Lee Jerry Lewis, that's his name, Tommy Lee Jerry Lewis. When he ran over old Tommy Lee, he was like, man, where the flag was at? But then Sean Payton was upset. But if you go back and you watch Coach Payton during the post game and after that, Payton was like, man, that wasn't the reason why we lost the game. And he was absolutely right. He said, listen, I was calling really conservative. I wasn't, calling the game. He got really, really real and started talking about what he did. And if you watch the game, if you can stomach it, the Saints were allowing the Rams wanted it. They were going for it on 4th down. The Saints defense would let them get it on 4th and 1. The Saints wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. They had a drop touchdown in the game. All kind of stuff was going. Coach Payton questioned his play calling, and he was basically saying, no, we had several opportunities to win that game. And he wasn't landing on just one play. And he was absolutely right when he went back. But I want people to look at Sean Payton, and we're going to get, if we trade him correctly, we're going to get a lot of compensation for him. But the end all be all, we won a Super Bowl with Payton. We should have had at least 3 of them with the environment, the team that we had here. I think a lot of what stopped us too is really questionable decisions at the draft process that we were called. People that we really didn't need to draft, but we would draft. People just routinely pass on quarterbacks, and then when he left, he would talk about almost had Patrick Mahomes. I like this guy, I like that guy, but would literally move past these guys, wouldn't draft. And they had a lot of good quarterbacks during his tenure. He simply just didn't want no part of. And we kept an old ass Drew Brees a little longer than what we wanted to. But at the end of the day, I think Coach Payton main, his kryptonite, so to speak, the thing that he really couldn't do, that I've never seen him do in all of his time, was to take a young quarterback and develop him into something. And I think that's something that he just simply, I don't know if he had the patience to do, but it's just something I never seen him do out of all the things that I've seen him do. That's why he's looking for people that already did the work at the quarterback position. That's why he's running from the Who Dat Nation, because he looked at the quarterback position in particular and said, I can't win with them. Remember, it was also Coach Payton that said Taysom Hill he called him, what did he call him? Steve Young. He didn't say he was like Steve Young. He said, no, Taysom Hill is like he's Steve Young. And I'm like, no, he ain't. No, he ain't. That's a damn lie. But anyway, look what Coach Payton gives his 2-step to Patty Cowherd and tells him what he would do to fix Russell Wilson. Take a listen.
His offense is indecisive and a little broken. Trent Dilfer came on the other day, and he's a high school coach in Tennessee. He goes, I would put in some movement. He goes, I think over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, I would put in some plays, 6-8 plays, move him. He goes, its foundation is strong. He goes, but it's not clever. It doesn't make the defense think or pause. If you had Denver and you thought to yourself, listen, I like our foundation, but we got to add some wiggle to this stuff. Is that a 1-week process, Sean? A 2-week, a 3-week? How do you correct flaws?
You correct flaws immediately, and then we don't worry about how long the process is going to take. In other words, I'd want to cut up today. I'd want to cut up of all Russell's pass plays of 30 or more yards from the field. And I'd want to see, are there some schemes that he felt very comfortable with? Like, I know that they did a great job in Seattle of bringing him off of a naked boot and then pulling up. And we all saw that like throwback to Lockett across the field where the ball traveled 60 yards in the air.
Right.
Then I'd want to look at another film of his red zone touchdown passes inside the 20. And so what I'm asking for from assistants is I'm asking for some of his greatest hits and to make sure that we have those song lyrics available. and if not, let's put them in.
Yeah.
All right. And when he said that, they went crazy and said, oh, Sean Payton looking at Denver. Won't happen. They don't have the draft capital to make that happen. So let's forget the Denver talk, please. I'm going to show you their draft picks in just a second so you can understand what we're talking about here. But also, Coach Payton mentioned the 30 yards. That reminded me of Drew Brees, because who was the 30-yard assassin? Drew Brees, right? In actuality, Russell could throw the ball. Russell can throw the deep ball. He just it's the Nathaniel Hackett offense that he don't look good in. That offense is a joke. Like I ain't saying Hackett don't deserve a job, but obviously there were better candidates to coach that team offensively speaking, or from a coaching standpoint, except for Paul Hackett's son. And I think a lot of that was done because he was Paul Hackett's boy. You know, there's a lot of nepotism in the NFL. These coaches circles kind of routinely regurgitate the same people over and over again. So at the end of the day, it sounded like the 30-yard assassin. Would he turn Russell Wilson? It sounded like what he did with Drew Brees. When Drew's arm strength kind of went away a little bit, but Drew would tear your ass up and it passes inside 25 to 30 yards. So Sean Payton going back to what he know, man. Turn Russell Wilson into that 30-yard assassin. And speaking of Denver, man, let's get into the order of picks, because people be saying this shit and they don't be doing no research, man. Let me show you what Denver's draft looks like right now. This is all of Denver's picks for 2023. All right. First round pick gone. Why? Bradley Chubb in the trade via 49ers through Dolphins. They don't have a second round pick. They own a third round pick. They got another third round pick with the Colts via trade. Via the Colts. They sent that out to the Colts. On the fourth pick, they own fifth pick, and then the Steelers pick via the Malik trade. So there you go. So I don't know, man. I just think that this team is not what I wouldn't send them to. AFC is a good thing, but we want to pile up as many picks as we want. And remember, we're not going to sit up here and go up and give picks for Sean Payton and give picks to Payton, or get picks for Payton from different teams. And the Saints need to get multiple first round picks. Ain't no give Sean Payton up for a first pick, a second pick, and a third pick, and a fourth pick. No, that's stupid. He's like, what you mean, Q? Because you got to use, this shit's going to be based upon the trade that sent Gruden from the Raiders to the Bucks. That is what they're going to use as a floor to trade Payton. Because you don't have high profile coaches that get traded like this often. The last time it happened, it was Gruden, who didn't have a Super Bowl at the time because he's with Oakland. Then they traded him to the Bucks and he won a Super Bowl that next year with Funny Business. One of the most rigged Super Bowls ever, by the way. But that is what we use as a legend or a idea of what we need for Coach Payton. Let's get 2 first rounders, please. 2 second round picks, and $8 million is what they gave up to get. The Bucks gave up to get Gruden from the Raiders. So 2 firsts, 2 seconds, to cash whatever a player, cash whatever extra picks. But it's going to probably be more than that, because there'll be a bidding frenzy for Payton services. You're going to have at least 4 or 5 teams lining up for him. If we want to trade him, that way we can get draft capital into the future. Now, who's going to be sitting on top of the team at that time? Hopefully we can find somebody else to move forward with, but the Saints are dinosaurs. And that's why I was advocating for Mickey Loomis to be pushed out of the way, because Mickey did good service for the Who Dat Nation for a while, but he's been up there 20-something years. It's time to give it a rest, bro. It's time to give it a rest, because you keep reaching to the past for the future. If you're going to be a visionary franchise, you got to understand and know to go find the next head coach, because they got quite a few of them out there that are good coaches, that are good motivators, that are good people, that know how to talk to team, motivate. They got good offensive systems and whatnot. They come from a good coaching tree, and they ready for the opportunity. They're imaginative. They're smart. They know how to organize. They got those guys out there. Instead of flim-flamming around with the past And whatever you do now with Peyton is going to be temporary anyway. He's not going to stay beyond whatever the time frame of Tom Brady. If we do go in that alternate reality, if we go into the alternate reality where the Saints bring Sean Payton back on top of the team and make Dennis Allen his assistant coach, and it's like, well, Q, he the coach. I don't know what's going on with this team at that level because they don't even want to tell you. They tell you he the head coach, but they don't tell you what his contract is. These people hiding something, man. That don't make no sense for that to even be a thing. So even if they do fiddle faddle around and bring Sean Payton and then Tom Brady comes, how long you think that's going to last, huh? Well, Q, we can at least get a Super Bowl. And then after that, you lose. Then what happened? What's next after that? It's what I'm saying is this is all short term. None of this is long term stuff we talking about here. Tom Brady is at the end of his playing career. Look how he looks in Tampa Bay. Like, well, Q, we'll be a better team for him. You might be a little right on that. But at the same time, Tom is at the end of his playing career. How much do you expect to get out of Tom Brady? You know, Sean Payton told you he don't want to really be here. And he don't really want to be here because, and I'm telling you, based on what he's looking for in other teams, the Saints don't have a good looking QB situation that, you know, that enthuses him. Now, if you had, you know, one of the top 5 or 10 signal callers in the game, Sean Payton wouldn't win anywhere. He wouldn't have win anywhere. He wouldn't have win anywhere. So this is the Arizona Cardinals future draft status right here. Look what they got. First round pick, second round pick, third, fourth, fifth that they traded for. And they gave up the fifth, but they got the sixth and they traded up the seventh. But this team right now in 2023, right now, I think they're situated at number 8 overall for the draft process that the team is so bad right now. So it would look a lot better to deal with the Cardinals. And hopefully the Saints, if they're going to trade Sean Payton, at least figure on trading Sean Payton to a team or send him packing to a team, fam, that you can at least get some type of capital for, you know, picks to replenish the picks that we gave to Philadelphia so we can build in the future. And remember, the Saints have maybe a 2 or 3 year window, 2 years after this season, 2 years left. How often you think Cam Jordan's going to remain here? When his contract runs out, DeMario Davis' contract runs out, that's it. So when we put this together, we knew it was a 3 to 4. You want to stretch the window a bit, maybe 4 years. But if you put all the contracts together and you put what the team is looking like, we were mixing young talent with older players that are still productive in an attempt to help that experience and that youthfulness bring us to the promised land. We missed the playoffs by 1 game last year at 9-7. Is it a possibility we make the playoffs? It's a slim possibility. You got to beat the number 1 team in the NFC to do it, and a team that's playing pretty damn good on the second week, and then get Tampa Bay to help you lose against Carolina and against Atlanta in the last week to give you an opportunity to play in the playoffs. It's a thin chance right there, but a loss to Philly eliminates you. So at the end of the day, it's crazy and it's weird how all this is going. But if you go toward the Sean Payton situation, you put Payton and Brady together, you know, for 1 year. You know, Brady's at the back in his career. Payton, what's going to happen when Brady retires and you got Payton? Payton's gone. You know, are you going to extend out Payton after this? You know, he got something left on his contract next year. But are you going to extend him out after that? Is he going to agree to that? You know, and my thing is, if you go with that scenario and, you know, what happens there? We got listen, I just think the window done closed on this stuff. The window done closed here. You know, that's like the old girl that you're trying to go back and get from 3 or 4 years ago. That old girl ain't the same old girl you knew, man. Here I go with that old girl. Right. Yeah, this is the whole thing. And DJ D Smooth is calling it, man. He said, man, Peyton picked these guys and he running away from them. That's my point, bro. That's what I've been saying. I'm like, listen, people are, and this is the thing, people are building up Sean Payton like he Bill Walsh or somebody, like he done won multiple Super Bowls or something. Peyton's a good coach, he is, but he ain't the. Hold on, before I even get, let me go back to my old girl. Listen, let me tell you something. The Saints is like going back to that old girl, you know. and you had an opportunity to make right with that old girl. She was loving on you and looking in your eyes beautifully, holding on your hands and looking all glassy eye at you and just all in love with you. And and baby, listen, baby, you ain't take care of that old girl, did you? You let that old girl slip through your fingers, baby. Baby, you ain't returned that loving back to that old girl. The next thing you know, that old girl ain't feeling the same way. She ain't got that glassy look in her eyes that she had them years ago. See, and that's what I'm saying. It's about windows. Everything happens in windows because, boy, I tell you, people don't really realize how unique these circumstances and situations are when you got a person in this place, in this mind frame, or in this energy essence at this time, and another person in a mirroring image in essence at the same time, and then they connect and it's magic. That's not something that happens every day. That's like a very rare thing. And it happens when certain windows open up that you get opportunities that you didn't have any other day. And opportunities don't come along. Certain opportunities that have gravity or have weight to them don't always pop up every day. It's certain windows open at certain times during the year, and they windows because you don't see them all the time. And then when they pass, you're like, man, I missed my opportunity. Man, I should have did this. Man, I should have did that. And that's what this is, this Tom Brady thing. This would have been something beautiful if the Saints would have pulled the trigger on this 3 years ago when they were holding on to Drew Brees, waiting to hear what Drew Brees had to say, when they should have just said, you know what, Drew, thank you for your service. We about to move on. Then you would have had 2 more Super Bowls, because I think Tom Brady, that Super Bowl in his first year would have been for you if he'd have got here. The Saints would have won the first year with him, and they probably would have went back the second year, maybe the third year. So they would at least got 2 of them with Brady there, because the Saints team they had was I ain't gonna say they was way better, but they better than what the Bucs was putting up there. You had Peyton and Brady working together. That would have been magical. But it's 3 years gone. It's 3 years too late. We put up with this guy for 3 years with the defunct situation that was occurring, and it just, I think this is a closed window. Now, if you're trying to do this next year with Peyton, I'm not excited about that, man. We had a chance at this 3 years ago. This done passed. So for the Saints to be miring around entertaining this type of stuff is telling me straight up, these people don't have no plan, bro. They don't have no plan if you looking to get Tom Brady. And Tom Brady is 3 years older than what the hell he was when he left New England. When he left New England, he looked fresh. He looked ready for a new challenge. He all beat up. He done got divorced. I mean, he talking crazy, and I'm like, no, man. No, we can do a lot better than that. Come on here. But anyway, man, that's my spill on it, man. It's ridiculous, man, at the same time. But look, shout out to the fam. We got 170 plus in it. Please feel free to hit the like button. And I know a lot of family members say, Q, listen, I'll take anything than what we going on, right, with Dennis Allen and Andy Dalton. And listen, I understand that, family. And I'm feeling y'all on this. I really am. I'm feeling y'all on this. I really do. I'm feeling y'all on this. I understand people like Q. Tom Brady and Sean Payton is better than Dennis Allen and Andy Dalton. And I'm like, man, I agree wholeheartedly. But this is 3 years too late. Can't we just go in a different direction? Can't we just first start with getting Mickey Loomis off the top of the team, because he the one entertaining all this nonsense? Can we move his old ass out of the way, put Kai Harley, who he taught everything to, on top of the team as a general manager, and not lose Kai Harley like we lost Fontenot to Atlanta? Because that's what's going to end up happening, is how we raising these young black GMs and somebody else pilfering them from us. You got an old ass Mickey Loomis up there. Sooner or later, you got to put fresh blood on the top of the team and let Kai Harley take over the team. Mickey done showed him how to cheat the cap and how to maneuver and do all this kind of stuff. So let's put Kai there, let him guide the team into the new, let him find a new head coach, let him work together, find the next head coach, and these people assemble a staff, and we take that forward. Not fiddle-faddling around with an old Tom Brady that's at the end of his playing career and a Sean Payton who really didn't want to be here. He told you that he was done. He told you he was done in 2019, but didn't want to quit because Anthony Davis had quit that year, and he ain't want to have it too much piled on to the sports organizations for New Orleans that year. So he stayed on a little bit, was talking to Jay Glazer during November, middle November, about retiring at the end of the season when Payton would put somebody in the goddamn doghouse for doing that, talking about retiring when he's supposed to. And they were fighting for playoff chances at that time. And you kicking this retirement talk? You know, so I'm saying at the end of the day, the man don't want to be here. We should trade this guy. We should move forward with a plan to into the future to build and make this team a strong team over the next 10 years. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Not flim-flamming around with an old Tom Brady. This window with him and Sean Payton had passed us 3 years ago. We had a chance to do this 3 years ago. And I understand people saying, Q, I would take them in a heartbeat. That's because you're desperate right now. Shit, y'all starving people. You starving out there. You win starved. You win deprived. Yes, this looks better. In it, a damn a shrimp po' boy with a Sprite sounds better. Look better than what we got going on right now. I mean, you're desperate right now. You're wind deprived. You know, you like a thirsty person ain't been drinking in a while. You know, damn, I'll take any bottle of water. I'll take this brand of water. You know what I'm saying? You know, you'll take any bottle of water right now. That's the point. We got to stay away from the desperation. We got to stay in common sense is what I'm saying, man. We got to stay in common sense right now. And this don't make no sense to me, man. But at the end of the day, bro, we going to see how it all plays out, man. We're going to see which direction this goes. But this is really loony to me, man. This is crazy to me what's going on in that building, man. Absolutely crazy. All right, so anyway, that's right, Eric says, I will take a neutral rat eating a water lily over DAQ. I got you on that, bro. See, that's what I'm saying. We are wind deprived. We deprived of common sense football. You got a coach sitting up there that got an offensive coordinator that got a player like Alvin Kamara, and the reporter, shout out to Triplet, sitting up there asking the home run hitting questions like, why the statistics indicate that Alvin Kamara is not getting getting the ball thrown to him, such and such. Now that, well, you know, we got to do this, and we got to make sure that at the end of this long spiel that really didn't teach you anything. Well, I just have to do better. And that's what they say, to get away from the fact that he's not doing it. But it's 2 games left in the season. You know? And the crazy part is you will see Carmichael get Kamara involved in these games before and then go away from him. Just totally go away from him. Like he don't know how to consistently keep stars involved in the game plan. You don't go away from your stars unless the star ain't a star that day. And you got to find somebody else with a spark. So, I mean, it's weird. And what's really weird is that Dennis Allen is not checking Carmichael on how ineffective his offense was. Like, you can't get 2 touchdowns against the 49ers to get that game. You can't get an extra score against the Buccaneers in the second game, so we were beating them by 2 scores. If you get another, your dumb ass move the ball up the field there. We get this first down, we make it shake. We can run the clock out, get the game over. But no, we're going to throw a slant. And I showed them they had footage that they put out that the cornerback knew the slant was coming. He said, man, y'all do that play all the time. But after that, you still had the 4th and 1 where you could have powered it to get the 1 yard, even though you screwed it up with Ingram running out of bounds. Then they slant played it to Callaway. The ball gets knocked away. Then the 4th down, instead of putting the jumbo package and getting the 1 yard against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, some bitch punts it from the Bucs 44-yard line. You tell me that's a guy that wants to win? See, that goes down to experience and common sense, and that's really something that's just – and he ain't the type of guy that's flexible. Say, you know what, guys, I screwed up. It's on me. I'm going to fix it. I promise you. None of that. This dude operates from an ego mindset. He pretends like he knows it all, and then you can see him out there screwing it up, fucking it up, doing all this weird stuff, and then he stands up there and say we had a bad day at the office. That's why I can't stand Dennis Allen, man. I don't like Dennis Allen as a person. I really don't like him as a head coach, and I really prefer him not to be my head coach. But, you know, we just got to do what we got to do. We're going to implement our power that we have to do the best we can do to run his ass out of there. And unfortunately, people like the Saints that are big fat cats eating up all that money that we giving them, they don't hear you screaming from where we are. So until they start checking them bank books and Lucia start looking and saying, hold on, our ticket sales are down. Our merchandise sales are down. Our concession sales are down. For whatever reason, the Who Dats are not showing up to the games. What's going on? And then that's when they say, "Oh hell no, we got to do something about this." It's that's what they do. They don't respect you telling them that. You got to show them. You got to show them you mean business. Keep your goddamn money in your pocket, or give it to somebody that's working, that's keeping it real, and not to people that's not listening to you. Real deal, Holyfield. But anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here on that, man. Listen, I appreciate y'all. I'm sorry, family. I'm passionate. I threw that F-bomb, and I'm sorry. But the reality is, I'm feeling like y'all feeling. I'm sick of this, man. I'm really tired of this. I'm sick of how the Saints look. Thank goodness we have the Pelicans. But at the end of the day, man, my bottom line is if reporters are telling you that you ain't gonna do nothing about it, you don't have no power to do nothing about it, I think that's an insult. I think that's an insult to you for anybody to tell you you ain't gonna do nothing about it, that you don't have no power over the situation when you giving them people your money, you giving them people your energy, you giving them people all that, and them people ain't building none of that shit on their own. They like to pretend they are. None of that shit they got over there they did on their own. The practice facility was built by taxpayer money. The arena, the arena that the Pelicans play out of, that they also own, that they rent out, they don't pay no rent on that. Them people making all the money. You can miss me with talking about they need money or they trying to compete in the NFL when it's a non-profit organization. You can miss me with that. I already know the money matters and the economics behind the game. That's why I drop economics about just not about sports, but I talk about the business side, because ain't no sports on the field without the business being taken in the boardroom. You take care of business in the boardroom. If they don't take care of the money in the boardroom, you ain't going to see not one damn player on that field. So money trumps football every time. The money got to be right before the player steps on the field. They talk team, but when individual contracts come to place, they start eye hustling and looking around. Well, he got this much money. I deserve that much money too. Damn, partner. What was the we in that? We, monsieur. And the next thing you know, when the money pop up and it's your turn to get paid, it's all about the I, baby. When that changed. So economics, I'm not blind to that shit, man. And I don't preach that, and I don't share this on the stream. We got to understand that we got power, man. The people getting all that from you. They're billionaires and millionaires because of you giving them and supporting them. That's why they making all of this money off of you. And they going to listen. They're going to listen, or we pulling everything back and let them pay for their own goddamn merch and their own tickets. They hear us yelling that Dennis Allen is a bum. They understand Dennis Allen is a bum. They know he's a bad coach, but they won't play money games, and they don't want to get rid of him because they don't want to cut his contract and hire somebody else, which is what they supposed to do, because that was their issue for listening to Sean Payton in the first place. Not only did Sean Payton set the QB situation in New Orleans, but he also responsible for your head coach. He was the one that told Mickey Loomis to hire Dennis Allen. But can we give Sean Payton some of that blame? We think Sean Payton can solve every goddamn thing. And Sean Payton been losing the last several years. We can't even get through the playoffs because of his bad play calling in the playoffs. His non-adapting in the playoffs. The Minnesota game where PJ got pushed out of the way by the tight end in the end zone. Payton kept using Drew Brees, and all that stuff was tore up to hell. The only player was doing anything was Taysom Hill. And he ride with these players too long, don't see that they falling apart or that they don't have it that game, weird game plays and calls in those playoff series responsible for why the Saints ain't go deep. But we forget all that when he leave and think that he the answer to everything we doing. Peyton did a lot of good stuff down here, but he did a lot of reckless garbage too. So let's not sit up here and paint him as a golden savior for the Who Dat Nation. And if they do go into this shit and take this guy and put him on top of the team, I promise you it won't be long term. As long as Tom Brady stays, which will probably be a year, which is ridiculous. All this is ridiculous. You know what? I'm up out of here, man. I'm going to get me a beer. I'm done, man. I'm done on this shit. I'm done. This is stupid. Is terrible. This is not a visionary team that goes to the past to find a coach that told you that he don't want to be here anymore. He told you he did not want to be here. He left you to go and talk on Fox about games. He left your ass. He left you, and then you talking about going and get Tom Brady. Have you looked at how Tom Brady looks lately? This is not vision moves. This is not vision moves. This is back ass, close my eyes and swing for the fences type shit. This ain't nothing skill provoked. This ain't no vision, no game plan, no serious plan. None of this makes sense. And for people pushing this, they're not keeping it real and they're not telling you the truth. This is nonsense and foolishness of the highest degree, and it's showing that Mickey Loomis doesn't have a plan anytime he don't rectify the wrongs and use money as an excuse for why they can't make a QB change, even though they're not telling you that. But they know they're telling you it's not economically feasible, even though they're not even releasing his contract to tell you how much money Dennis Allen making or how many years he's here. It's absolutely horrible. I'm out of here. I'm going to get me a goddamn beer. And if you of age, I'm asking you to get a beer too, because after watching this shenanigans, I had enough. I am out of here. Listen, thank y'all for listening to me vent. Much love to the Who Dat Nation. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Listen, I hear y'all suffering. I'm suffering right along with you. Man, listen, man. I just got to keep yelling, family, to the highest degree and hope that enough people hear me to work with the Who Dat Nation, the Great Saint Think Tank, and if they decide to make it official and keep Dennis Allen, that we provide an economic boycott of the team, just like our ancestors did it when they put the bags on their heads. People didn't go to the games. They started undermining the team. They started threatening, telling the politicians, don't you dare vote for that bill to help the Saints out. That's what they did to get the Saints some act right. The Saints just didn't wake up and start saying, you know what, it'll be better if we start winning. No, they were propelled and forced by the Who Dat Nation to do this. And it's time for us to make our presence felt, because we've been giving these people everything. We let them chump us on these tickets. We let them chump us on them high ass concessions in there, paying $10 for a bottle of Coke and $12 and $13 for goddamn nachos with $2 cheese and all that kind of crap. How long we gonna let them keep screwing us, man? We let them have all the tax breaks, the concession money. We pay for parking in a building that been paid for 30 years. You know, and then they say that, talk about it, when who gonna pay the police? The taxpayer dollars pay the police. This is unreal, and this is chump shit. It's time for us to put our foot down and stop this shit. It started with Dennis Allen, and I'm asking the people out there that got brains, that are intelligent and understand what I'm saying, and not the fans out there who are just a rabid idiot and that will do whatever these people say, even to their own detriment. I'm not talking to your dumb ass. I'm talking to the people that understand what I'm saying and that have power, and don't listen to reporters that tell them that they don't have power and that you'll take whatever these people give you. I'm telling you to use your goddamn power and use your voice and step up to the plate and turn this shit down. Do not give them people no money if they're not going to listen to you. And they hear us. We been saying this the whole year, that Dennis Allen needs to be fired. He doesn't need to be the head coach of this team, and we need to stick to that. I'm up out of here. I love y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all on the flip side. Who dat?
Yeah. Like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, like this, and I'm a who dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that at. Where we do that at. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that at. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Daily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description